All right, thought I'd try something out here and tell a story. I've been, my work over with Front Yard Frontline and Young Survivors, and just a lot of the work that I've done over the last 12 years, 13 years almost, has been telling other people's stories and sharing narratives. But here's one from my own life that has always had a lot of resonance and impact in my life, and really affected the way that I've seen the world and the people around me ever since it happened to me 20 years ago. 20 years ago, this year, on a day that became doubly painful for me last year, the Friday before Father's Day. So, this is a story that I had been advised to keep to myself by, my elders and the people that I trusted. So I did for a long time, and just the people that are close to me have heard it, and some of you have heard it many times, maybe because you're my kid or my mom, who is now my captive audience. But that's who I was talking to about it today, and I thought, let's tell this story, okay? So just stay with me, and if you're interested, I appreciate you making it this far. There is a point, okay? 20 years ago, I wound up in a situation where I had to defend what I considered and still consider to be my honor, my family honor. I overdid it. Maybe it went too far. I found myself in trouble for it. I got arrested, and I was looking at some very serious consequences for my actions. Very serious. So, up until that point, never really been in trouble, only because I felt like, I knew how to stay out of it. It's not because I didn't, I knew what side of the line I was on, but in my family, we always kind of prided ourselves on staying ahead of the hounds, So, first time I'd ever really been busted. I'm sitting in the city jail for 3 days waiting to see the judge. Obviously, this was a violent encounter, or if it's not obvious, let me explain that right now, okay? Violent encounter. And I wound up in jail for it. And like I said, during the encounter, I wound up, I lost my shirt. I only had an undershirt on. I lost a shoe, so I left my other shoe behind, so I was shoeless. 20 years ago, I was a little bit bigger and more intensely aggressive than I am now. So I was about 6'2", 250, and covered in blood. And nobody, that's just the way I came to court. So I get to the holding tank, right? It's just me and another guy from the city jail. They obviously, back then, 20 years ago, they divided us by race. So the black gentleman that was next to me went to a different area. The Mexicans and everybody else went to the general holding tank. And so when we went down there, it was just me and him. He hit me up, and basically explained to me what was going to be expected of me, how to stay out of trouble, keep your mouth shut, don't bother anybody, don't speak unless you're spoken to, it'll be all right. Because he knew my story. We've been in there for 3 days. He knew where I was coming from already. So I get down to the basement of the Whittier jail, or the Whittier courthouse, and there we are in the holding tanks. It's just a big concrete bunker, concrete benches. And then the guys from the Grey Goose come in, the guys from the county and the state that have got hearings that day, or, appearances. So next thing you know, we went from being just the two of us in this big room to being, full house, 40, 50 heads, very serious looking cats, some goofy looking fools, but, some very serious looking people. And again, up until this point, I got my friends in the street, and, you know, they look just like these fools, but I never been in a situation where, you know, we were all in the same fucking pen together. And I don't know none of these people. So I shut the fuck up, find a corner, sit in it, and keep my mouth shut. And the morning goes on. Everybody kind of starts to feel each other out, get to know each other, and finally the attention gets, you know, turned my way, and these dudes look at me and they're like, what the fuck is up with you, fool? You know? Like I said, I had my wife beater on. Sorry about the term, I know, but that's just what it is, right? That's what we call it. My A-shirt. But my A-shirt was just fucking bloody. And my hair was fucking crazy. It was shorter back then, you know? Like I said, no shoes and just fucking haunted eyes. Because I had just lost everything. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to see my son again until he was at least, you know, 15. And it was fucking scary. So the attention turns my way. And like I said, I was in there for, you know, defending my honor. And just about everybody I've ever met kind of understands what I did, you know. But it was still wrong. And I had, you know, there it was. Once I told my story, all these dudes who, you know, had their own problems, they were there because they were fighting for their own fucking freedom. They had their own cases. They had their own fucking crosses to bear. They had their own injustices that they were trying to overturn, you know. Every single one of them turned my way and gave a fuck about what I was going through. And all of a sudden, I was like everybody's brother, everybody, you know, and I know. And I got, you know, I'm not stupid. I got homies that had me ready. I ain't trying to make friends, and I ain't trying to be anybody's fucking buddy, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, I recognize when somebody just cares, because I know where I'm at. And I ain't bullshitting. So, all of a sudden, you know, this whole room is trying to figure out how to help me, trying to, you know, explain to me where my next moves are, you know, what are you going to do, fool? And I told them, you know, we ain't got a lot of money, so I'm getting a lawyer. So I'll be going back with you guys probably, because they ain't gonna let me out. And sure as shit, you know, like when the time came for me to see the judge, like I said, I looked like a textbook violent criminal. Even though I was just circumstantially on the wrong side of the fence, you know, I looked terrible. And so plus, you know, I did what I did, man. But when the time came to see the judge, she was just like, nah, this dude's not getting no hard. There's a bail. And they set my bail, and I already knew it. And so my family, God bless them, you know, they put some money on together, and you know, we were able to find a lawyer that was working with poor people, and you know, that's what I got. I got a lawyer. But when I went back down to the holding tank after my appearance before the judge, and all the dudes were waiting to see if I got OR'd, and then I told them, nah, I'm going back with you guys, you know. You could see the disappointment in everyone's face, but at the same time, you know, like I knew that I was with not necessarily my people, but God's people, which are my people, you know. And so I just rested up and got ready to roll, and then I got the surprise of my life. I was asleep, and I was trying to catch up because I knew I was in the ride for the ride of my life. And then kind of heard my name, you know. And then these fools start shaking me awake. Hey, wake up, dog. Hey, fool, wake up. Hey, they're calling your name. Find out what's up. You're going home, fool. You're going home. I'm like, okay, I don't think so, guys, but all right. And I go out there, and sure as shit, the bailiff's like, yeah, man, you're fucking, I don't know, you got bailed out. My uncle, who was, like I said, the OG gangster in my family, the real, you know, he came up with some money on his own and bailed me out because he knew that I was probably going to jail for a long fucking time, and I needed to see my kid at least for Father's Day. And so he put it up, knowing that, you know, this was probably the last chance I was going to get to see my kid for a long fucking time. And when these guys found out I was coming home to see my kid for Father's Day, you should have heard, you know, the joy in that room. It was one of the most beautiful, exuberant feelings I've ever experienced in my life. You know, the true love for these guys who they knew that I was going home to see my kid, you know. And this dude, the fucking shot caller in the room, fucking said, hey, motherfucker, I better not ever see you again. I said, I'll do my best, homie, you know. And up until Mikey got killed and the time came to kind of get arrested in the street for what was right, I lived up to that promise, you know. I went home and I got to see my kid that Father's Day, and I made a promise that I've done my best to keep ever since, you know. And since that moment 20 years ago, I've never forgotten, you know. God's people are where you look, where you need them, and don't ever forget. Don't ever forget the people that they're hiding from you and that they're taking away and trying to lock up forever, because God is with them too, and they need us just as much as anybody else, you know. So when I really needed to be tapped into my Creator and to the power of love and light, I found it in a room full of convicted prisoners while I was waiting to answer for a crime I wish I never would have committed. So that's the story. I don't know if it has any value, but it happened to me. It's the truth, you know, and I wanted to share it, and I wanted it out there. And there's more to it. I'm sure I didn't tell it as accurately or as intelligently as I wanted to, but you know, you get the point, I hope. And if not, I'm sure we'll talk about it again some other time maybe. But thank you for letting me get this off my chest. I see it's been a long one. All right. Probably if you made it this far, holy shit, you are my friend. All right. Thank you. Bye.